everything you missed from Summer Game Fest, like Avowed getting a release date, maybe, some indie titles to check out, and a look at Metal Gear Solid Delta, previously unseen, that's coming out this week. All that and more on today's episode of TouchPad. Hello and welcome to Cross Circle Squared. I'm Benny Gerkman, and this is TouchPad, your daily video game news show. Sorry for missing Thursday and Friday. I came home from vacation and just had this terrible headache sickness, and that kind of put me out of commission. For the weekend too, I wanted to cover the events, but I ended up just literally not being able to get out of bed for some of it. And today, instead of going through and covering every single game from SGF or the Xbox Showcase, which at this point has already been done by hundreds others, I want to take some time to highlight some news you might have missed from all the Showcase hubbub, and also point you towards some places where we're getting even more information on some of the games shown at SGF. Of course, Friday, we saw Summer Game Fest take the stage in LA, where we were shown some cool things. I'm not going to lie, it wasn't the best show ever, but I think I still kind of liked the vibe this year. It was like a 7 out of 10 in terms of actual big reveals and announcements, but instead, the showcase focused a lot on smaller indie titles, as well as updates to previously announced games, and I think that gave it a nice little vibe. To me, the best part of the showcase was the announcement of 2 new indie game publishers. First off, Outersloth, makers of Among Us, they announced Outersloth, and this is their new publishing label. They revealed and announced a few games they were publishing, but among those companies was Strange Scaffold, creators of El Paso Elsewhere, and they kind of have a new game coming out. This isn't published by Outersloth, but I did want to mention it because this game looks just actually fantastic. They released a demo for this game. It's coming out in August. It's called I Am Your Beast, and it's this super fast-paced, retro-feeling FPS. It looks extremely stylish and engaging, and I'm already excited for it just by looking at this Steam page. I've seen some people on Twitter playing this and having a lot of fun trying to speedrun it. And this kind of stood out to me, even though it wasn't one of the things that they were publishing. I think it's just a cool thing to look at. Another publisher that ended up kind of coming out of SGF, showing that they exist, is Blumhouse, their production company. They're from the movie side, but they're now moving into publishing games. And there were 2 standout projects here for me. I think first off is Fear the Spotlight. This is an indie game by 2 people. It's the first retro-inspired horror title that actually looks retro to me. Usually these kind of games look like, the Unity engine, but there's bad graphics, instead of the regular kind of looking things. This one captures that kind of PS1 effect, very, very... I don't know if it's true to what it really looked like, but it feels like it, and I think that's what really matters here. Okay, and second of all, I missed this originally watching the show, but Blumhouse are also publishing Sam Barlow's next game. It's entitled Project C at the moment. It's the team behind Immortality. Sam Barlow is the one behind Immortality and Her Story, and I really can't wait to see what experimental, weird little game they're making this time. Now that they have the financial backing of what I imagine is a pretty affluent publisher, especially one that will likely allow them to take whatever creative risks they'd like to with the project, I think it'll be exciting for whatever this ends up being. It's very vague on its Steam page as of right now. Also announced Friday, this wasn't exactly part of SGF, but announced the same day, that was The Thing Remastered. This is a Night Dive gig. It looks to keep all the same gameplay and systems of the original game, just remastering some of the textures, making it playable on modern hardware, sometimes revamping the controls, things like that, what Night Dive usually does. I've been told The Thing, the original, is actually a pretty good game, but it's pretty hard to legally get anywhere, if not impossible. It's basically abandonware at this point, so I'm glad that this is in the works. No release date yet on this one, probably still a few months out, maybe even a year if I had to guess, but we'll see it when it comes out, and I have no doubt that it'll be good, at least. Night Dive has a pretty good track record. They've had some very few and far between misses, but I'm hopeful. Okay, let's go to some other stuff that you might have missed. Let's just go pre-Xbox showcase, since there's kind of like your SGF and other showcases, and then I'll cover everything you missed from the Xbox showcase in one big segment. So again, first, pre-Xbox stuff. And I want to talk about Astro's Playroom. Of course, this happened kind of a little while ago with Astrobot, kind of came up again. That's the full big title that Team Asobi is releasing that's very similar to Astro's Playroom, but the original game itself has gotten an update. And they've added a few little new things to unlock, a few missions, about an hour of content, according to IGN. Again, it's not much, but for a game that's only a few hours to begin with, and a game that's really utterly deserving of more, I'm glad this update is out. Of course, we'll be getting a lot more when the full-sized title Astrobot releases this year. But again, Astro's Playroom is just a nice little experience. You collect your little coins and you go buy your little, I don't even know what to call them. There's like a big vending machine that has like PlayStations and stuff in it. They added some new stuff there. So, hop back in, see how it feels. And if you like it at all, check out Astrobot later this year. All right. Finally, for pre-Xbox news, let's go to The Verge. This is, of course, the amazing Tom Warren, who does a lot of investigative work and kind of working the rumor mill over there at Microsoft, especially. And according to him and in the Verge newsletter, there's apparently a Halo Combat Evolved remaster, remake sort of thing in the works. According to him, it's being planned for release on PS5. So that's definitely something. Combat Evolved Remastered is kind of being considered in this bigger overall project at Xbox that's really considering each and every game for their cross-platform viability. That includes other games like Fable, South of Midnight, as well as the newly announced Doom: The Dark Ages. To kind of give some stock to that rumor, now that we're on this side of the showcase, Doom: The Dark Ages was announced for PS5 release yesterday. So could we see Halo on PlayStation? I definitely think it's possible, especially if it's like a smaller remaster type thing for the first game. I know PlayStation was kind of talking about their reasoning on PC, where they like release the first in a series and then people play it, and now they really want to buy a console. And if that strategy does really work, I guess that could kind of work for PlayStation too. You play Combat Evolved and you're like, wow, I really need to go buy an Xbox to play Halo 2. I don't really know if that will work for many people, but I don't know. It could get them some extra dollars here and there. What for me, kind of though, I'm thinking like, why don't they just put Halo Infinite on PS5? That's a live service game. Most of the games that they put over to PlayStation were either live service or smaller titles. So if Combat Evolved's going, that's a smaller title. Halo Infinite, live service title. I'm sure that game would make more money if it was put into more hands. But of course, no big Halo news at the showcase yesterday, just what we got from Tom Warren. So it's still up in the air as of yet. Okay, finally, let's go ahead and talk about what was announced and covered at the showcase, big Xbox showcase yesterday. Again, all the like big announcements like Doom and Perfect Dark and all that, they've all been covered by other channels in probably much more detail and probably in a way better way than I can do. So I'm going to stick to some smaller stuff or things that came as a surprise. First off, the Starfield creation kit. We kind of talked about it, I think like last month when Todd Howard went on Kind of Funny and he was interviewed there, that it was kind of given to some creators, but now it's out fully. It's been released by Bethesda and it's just the full package, not like a beta or anything. This, of course, meaning that we'll hopefully be seeing a lot more Starfield mods in the near future and a lot more like game-changing in-depth mods at that. That's, I think, great for the sometimes very empty, very boring planets of Starfield. They also announced like the Creation Club kind of stuff for the game that I don't really care about, but that's there if you're interested. Another thing they announced, kind of tied to Bethesda again, is playing as a ghoul in Fallout 76. This will be coming in an update sometime next year, and thanks to an interview by IGN, we actually have an idea of what it will entail. First off, obviously you won't be hurt by radiation. It'll actually heal you in many cases. In the article, they talk about like, if there's dirty irradiated water, you can drink that and it'll heal you instead of damage you. There will also be a bunch of goal-centric cards or the game's version of perks. And also, there will also be a sort of a new metagame created by this, of course. You won't have to take Radaway or Rad-X to enter a super radioactive area. And at the same time, you want to kind of soak in as much radiation as possible. So maybe you don't want to wear power armor, things like that. To be honest, there aren't many downsides to being a ghoul in Fallout other than like the obvious appearance differences. But the ability to transform into a ghoul is locked until level 50. So, I guess that kind of works as a balancing thing, but it's a little disappointing to me. I get it. Again, it's Fallout 76. It's multiplayer. You want stuff to be balanced, but I think if we ever see this in like a single player focused Fallout, I'd want it to just kind of naturally happen. The kind of thing that's not a choice, but it will happen if you're not careful. All right. Again, this is coming in 2025, but no exact release date for this. I'll leave the full article from IGN below if you want to read more. Okay, let's go ahead and over to a very similar company and style of game with Avowed. They showed off another trailer here. I'm going to pull it up for you. It's definitely a trailer. It's kind of little tiny bits of gameplay, some cinematic moments, but mostly it's like those big landscape swooshes and just kind of the vibe and aesthetic of the game. One thing we didn't see, though, in this trailer is a release date. All we knew previously was 2024, and after the showcase, that is still all we knew. But after the showcase ended, Obsidian posted an update about the new trailer to their website, where they did sort of kind of release an update to it. They listed a release date, Avowed, getting ready for it on release on November 12th, 2024. They promptly removed it after, so no confirmation yet on and if that is finally like the true release date that we'll actually see it. But I don't know, maybe they're just not fully prepared to release then and they're just kind of playing it by ear still. But if I had to guess, that's when they're currently shooting for. And then, if the game gets delayed or something, then, maybe we'll see it later or somehow earlier. But if you're excited for Avowed, I think that's when you can expect it. If you are excited for Avowed, we will be getting a closer look today, actually, since Avowed will be shown at the Xbox podcast. This is something happening all week. Today starts with Avowed. Tomorrow is Metal Gear Solid Delta, so you'll be able to get a closer look, or like I don't even know what they're exactly doing. They're kind of vague on it. They just said we'll talk about it. So maybe information on gameplay. I don't know if we'll see gameplay. I don't know if we'll see release dates, but again, it'll be talked about and we'll hear more about the games of themselves. Those all release on Xbox's official YouTube channel, so if you're interested, I'd subscribe over there. Again, they only announced today and tomorrow with Avowed and Metal Gear, so we could see more games throughout the week, or they could just be general kind of press release-y kind of things after that. Not sure yet. I'll keep you updated. Of course, right after this show releases, the Steam Next Fest presentation starts. That's at 2 p.m., so that's like immediately after I record, actually. I don't think this will even be up by then. But Ubisoft Forward is happening at 3, so if you're watching this immediately, you can go right to Ubisoft Forward. And then tomorrow, actually, we get a special look at Dragon Age The Veilguard. Previously, that's Dragon Age Dreadwolf. That's at 11 a.m. EST tomorrow. And then finally, Lollipop Chainsaw is getting a trailer, possibly a release date this Thursday. So we're actually really still not done with Summer Game Fest. We still got a few more things to go here, but I think we're definitely over the hump here now as we close out the week and the whole big festival event thing, as Jeff likes to sell it as, when it's really just like 3 very big important events and a bunch of other announcements. Let's go ahead and close out the show with my smaller mentions for today. First off, Bungie is not done with Destiny 2, despite the release of the Final Shape, which is the game's final big expansion. Codenamed Frontiers is what's next for the game in year 11. It's unclear if this is a continuation of the big content expansions that Bungie has been doing for the game. I think that's unlikely, but as more of the team transitions probably over to Marathon, I think we'll see a dedicated team on Destiny 2 for at least a couple years to come. Finally, Resident Evil 7 is releasing to mobile. That's iPhone 15, as well as iPad and Mac. This is after the RE4 and the RE8 both got mobile ports, and those were actually pretty good. So I think it kind of makes sense to go backwards, get the other remakes and the more modern Resident Evil games in there. No reason not to. I think if you're gonna play any Resident Evil game, it would make sense to start at like 2 remake or 7 remake. So a little weird that 4 remake and 8 came out first, but you know, now you'll be able to go back and experience the like first half of each of those stories. All right, no releases for today. Personally, I'm going to hop into Silent Hill 3, get that done for the review podcast. But then honestly, I might start some Elden Ring after that, before its expansion. Man, that's basically like a week and change that it'll release. I never actually finished Elden Ring originally, so maybe I will now. But either way, as always, I am Benny Gurkman, this is Cross Circle Squared, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye!